What is up, guys? Today we're going to be looking at the top 10 best offlane heroes for patch 7.35b. So let's get straight into it. So first on the list is probably not a surprise to many of you is Timbersaw. Timbersaw right now is super strong for a couple of reasons. Number one, Shiva's Guard is basically broken on this hero. AoE slow, AoE vision, increases his damage output ridiculously. And if you can get to the late game, get BKB, Cypher Vice, Shiva's Guard, Refresher, Blink, you're going to be an absolute menace basically against any lineup. Unless they've got 10 seconds of break and disable, you're going to destroy basically any lineup. And in the laning phase, if the enemy team has a melee safe lane carry, Timbersaw is absolutely going to stomp him with his Whirling Death. And when he gets 6, he'll be able to slow him and easily get kills on the lane. It's really not uncommon for this hero to go on a killing spree at 10 minutes and take over the game and snowball from there, which makes this hero one of the best offlaners right now. Number 2 on my list is Viper. Now, I really enjoy playing this hero. I don't know if there's something wrong with me, but I actually enjoy playing Viper, especially against two melee heroes like Treant and Slark. If you have a semi-decent position 4 with at least one brain cell, you're probably going to do really well in a melee core lineup. Now, this particular clip, they stupidly decided to go on me quite a lot, and I think this shows you just why Viper's so frigging good. Poison Sting is so strong right now. He's had a couple of buffs, Viper, and if you go a couple of points in Poison Sting along with his corrosive skin, any melee core is not going to be able to kill you ever, and they're just going to get themselves killed. And after about level 6, he can basically solo, and you will be able to get a decent amount of farm on this hero if you don't feed your brains out. And my advice would be to go something like Shiva's Guard, BKB and Aghanims, particularly if you're against Slark like I was here. If you didn't know, Viper's Aghanims is a massive counter to Slark. As soon as Slark goes on you and uses his Q ability, every single instance he hits you with that, he takes 100 damage. So you can see in this clip, he basically kills himself, which I think is super strong and has got me like a 5 win streak on Viper in the offlane. Not to mention the AoE disarm, which it also gives you. Next on my list is Omniknight. Now, this hero, I know what you're thinking, it is supposed to be a support hero, not traditional offlaner, but it has grown in popularity in the offlane due to a few reasons. Number one, he's really good at sustaining in the lane, and his Hammer of Purity deals so much damage. I cannot tell you the amount of times enemy teams have underestimated how much damage this does, especially once he gets level 10, he gets his 50 base damage, and when you reach 15 minutes, you can buy Shard and get 2 Hammer of Purities, and this does so much damage because it's pure and he has so much base damage, it can basically one-shot most support heroes and a couple of carries if they got low HP. And in the laning phase, with his good sustain and high damage output, you'll be able to dominate your lane, get loads of denies because of his high base damage, and screw up the lane for the carry hopefully. To show that perfectly, a super tanky hero like DK blinks in on the Omniknight, thinks he can initiate. Omniknight turns around and uses 2 Hammer of Purities and he's basically dead. And the Lycan even thinks he can kill him, and again, Hammer of Purity gets smacked in his face and he dies. And another perfect example, I don't want to call Saberlight out here, but Saberlight on the Lycan, well, it's got super high damage, thinks he can kill Omniknight, which yeah, you can kill a support hero, can you? Omniknight turns around, smacks a double Hammer of Purity right in Saberlight's face, and even gives him the tip, which... is that toxic? I don't know. You make your own minds up. I think it's funny. But it just goes to show the power of this hero if you don't feed your brains out and constantly die in lane, which you can do. So next on my list is Seer. This hero is a traditional offlaner and can sometimes even solo the offlane if he's against a melee core and a melee position 5. You can cast Iron Shell on 2 of the creeps and the safe lane isn't going to be able to farm without taking a shitload of damage. As soon as you get a Greaves or a Pipe, you can rotate the lanes, join your team fights, and if you can cast Vacuum and Wall of Replica on basically even one hero, they're gonna die. Wall of Replica does so much damage now, there's no way that anyone can survive. And most team fights, if you can get a 2 to 3 man wall vac, the team has to disengage. They can't fight into it, it's just too strong. And of course, there's always the opportunity to get your wombo combo 5 man wall vac into a complete team wipe, and you can very quickly, if you've got Aghanims and some aura items, you can push to the Ancient and end the game quickly. Next on the list is a hero that's gained popularity recently is Doom, and this is for a couple of reasons. Mainly because he's such a strong laner with Scorched Earth damaging and healing him for so much. There's a couple of really good neutral abilities he can steal, such as Frost Armor, which is so OP right now. If he can get that in lane, he's pretty much unkillable, or he can get Mana Burn or the heal from one of the smaller creeps. And something that's sometimes overlooked on this hero is Scorched Earth's farming capabilities. You can even double stank the 2 small camps on the Radiant side and Dire side, and it acts as a kind of mini Radiance, so you don't have to spend 6k gold on an AoE farming tool. You can literally just use Scorched Earth to farm really quick. And once you make it to the mid and late game, your team fight impact just goes through the roof. You can blink in, doom a target, run down the enemy team with Scorched Earth, and there's really F all they can do about it, to be honest. That's why this hero is so popular in the offlane right now. Next is Winter Wyvern. Now this is not a traditional offlane hero. It's typically picked up sometimes mid, mostly as position 5 or 4, but it can be played in the offlane, and I'll tell you why. Her Q ability is so strong at harassing, damage over time which is percent based, and you do obviously the auto attack damage. And you'll be surprised how tanky this hero is. You can see in this fight, Morphling thinks he's going to kill him. Even the Wind Ranger comes in with a power shot, and with Cold Embrace, even at level 1, the hero still survives, and all it has is 2 Wraith Bands. And Winter's Curse never really falls off. You can use it to lock down one hero in the early game and mid game, or just to lock someone in place while your team comes in. And similar to Omniknight, people underestimate how much damage Winter Wyvern can do with some farm. If you get Mage Slayer, which let's be honest is pretty broken right now, not only does he do the health percentage damage and damage over time, the Mage Slayer also adds damage over time and magic reduction on top of that. Winter's Curse never drops off in terms of how much impact it can have in a team fight. You can basically one-shot most heroes if you catch 2 or 3 people around them, and it just never really falls off. So that makes this hero good at every stage in the game. Next on my list is Abbadababbabbbadon. Now this hero has seen an increase in popularity in basically every position. Carry, mid, position 5, 4 and offlane. So I can see this hero probably getting a nerf in the next patch because I think he's a bit too strong right now. His shield makes it so that even on the lane, if he's getting harassed, he can still farm and cause damage to the enemy. And something people really don't talk about on Abbadababbabbbadon is his sieging capabilities. If you leave this hero alone on lane, at any point in the offlane, he can basically take your tower in 2 seconds with Curse of Avernus, doing way more damage now. And also its Roche capabilities. Again, with Curse of Avernus, your whole team can zerg down Roche really quickly. And you can use shield to absorb some of the damage. He's just a really good Roche taker, which in professional Dota right now is super important. So this hero is super good at taking objectives, and if the enemy team do go on him, you can bait the whole team in and they think they're going to kill you, and unless they've got a break and time it really well with their nukes, you're going to survive any team fight. And you don't have to survive the team fight, you just have to bait enough spells that the enemy team go on you. And you normally build Manta so you can get an instant silence, and Harpoon so you can suck people in. And if Abbadababbabbbadon gets to this point, it's really hard to kill him. He's just so survivable. And if you do get an opportunity to go high ground and the enemy team have been wiped, if you don't just take one lane with his Curse of Avernus, Ancient just gets absolutely decimated in 5 seconds. So that's another reason he's being picked up so much and has such a high win rate on pretty much any position he plays. He's really strong right now. Next up is Death Prophet. Now there's a couple of reasons she's really good in the offlane. Number 1 is she's got some good long range nukes and can secure the range creep really easily. And secondly, she's really hard to kill. With Spirit Siphon, even level 1, any melee core or melee support who goes on you, you can just right click them back, suck them off, literally, and get all your health back. And if you've got a position 4 who's got even half a brain cell, you should be able to get a counter kill or at least not die. And with Q enabling her to flash farm, it's not harder for you to get 4 or 5k net worth at 10 minutes. And when the enemy carry needs to leave to go jungle, which they will do at some point, Death Prophet only needs 1 ulti to take down the tier 1 tower. And this will usually happen around the 7 to 10 minute mark. And in the mid and late game, you can get Shiva's Guard, Yule's Scepter maybe, Ghost Scepter, and BKB sometimes if you have it. Press ult, run at the enemy head first, and there's really not a whole lot they can do about it. Unless you've got a Wind Runner with single target through BKB, you're going to survive pretty much any team fight. And obviously the AoE Silence, which is super good at any stage in the game. This hero is just really good in the offlane right now, and I expect they're picked up quite a lot in pro games. Next on the list is one you're not going to be too surprised about, but right now is really strong, is Axe. Axe has always been a traditional offlaner because he's so good at laning. He can farm really quickly, and he can take ancient stacks and any other stacks you've built really easily with either Vanguard or Helm of the Dominator. As long as he's got some HP and health regen, he can flash farm super quick. What makes this hero so good is he wants to rush blink and blade mail, and he can easily kill enemy carries if they've got loads of inherent damage by backfiring and killing themselves. And once the laning stage is finished, Axe loves rotating because he wants to get stacks of armor with Culling Blade, and the only thing you have to be careful with is making sure, because this is pretty important with Axe, that you actually pull off your Culling Blade. I can't tell you how many times I've lost a team fight where if Axe had hit his Culling Blade, he might have got 3 or 4 more chops and the team fight would have been completely different, but he missed that first culling blade. And you can see it even happens to the best of us. Collapse here misses his culling blade because LeBron decides to use his wand right before you can culling blade. Collapse was a victim of it here, thanks to LeBron's heal, and you can see in the chat, he's not too pleased about it. Obviously just a bit of banter here. I think that's well warranted. It's very clear that he tried to stick to avoid the culling blade, and it's just not right, is it? It's not right. And just as an all-round, at every stage in the game, good hero to have in your team. And finally, I thought I'd include a bit of a wild card here. Brewmaster is a traditional offlaner. However, in this meta, I think, obviously skill dependent, this hero is super strong in the offlane right now. But again, this hero is really dependent on the skill level of your brew player. You won't see it much in professional Dota unless they've got a player who really specializes in brew, because you need such good micro skill, and the combos you can pull off with this hero pretty much down to how good you are on the hero. I personally am not that great, but the hero is really strong. And one thing they have improved on this hero is its ability to push towers. The Earth Ruling now has Demolish, which does bonus building damage, and at level 3 it caps at 250, so the Earth Ruling does an extra 250 to enemy hero buildings, which is flipping massive. So you'd think this hero was mainly a team fight hero, but he can solo down towers really easily, and if you can rush Radiance, you can sometimes snowball so hard that you can end the game before 20 minutes. If you've got a good team and they're doing well on their lanes, you can use your ult, take down the barracks, and then you can end the game really quick. So I thought I'd call this hero out, especially in pubs. If you can master this hero, you're going to gain some serious MMR. And that's why I've put him in right at the end. He is kind of a traditional offlane, but he's really skill dependent, and you have to be very good to play him. So that's it, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. Appreciate any like, comment, or subscribes, and see you on the next one. Peace.